There was a time when the word Intel wasn't just a brand, it was a law of nature. If you bought a computer between 1995 and 2015, the Intel Inside sticker was your guarantee of relevance. For decades, the company followed the gospel of its co-founder, Gordon Moore. Moore's law, the observation that the number of transistors on a chip doubles every 2 years, wasn't just a prediction. It was a drumbeat that Intel used to march the entire world into the digital age. They were the undisputed kings of the tick-tock model. 1 year, a new manufacturing process, aka the tick. The next, a new architecture, the tock. It was relentless, and it made Intel untouchable. But today, the story is different. Intel's stock has weathered a lost decade. They've been overtaken in market cap by their once struggling rival AMD, and they are no longer the most advanced chipmaker on the planet. To understand how the most dominant force in computing lost its way, we have to look at the moment they decided the future wasn't worth the risk. The first crack in the armor didn't happen in a lab, it happened in a boardroom. In the mid-2000s, a young Steve Jobs approached Intel's then CEO, Paul Otellini. Jobs wanted Intel to design and manufacture the chip for a secret new project called the iPhone. Otellini looked at the numbers and passed. He didn't believe the volume would be high enough to justify the development costs. It is perhaps the most expensive no in corporate history. Because Intel passed, Apple went to Samsung and eventually started designing their own chips based on the ARM architecture. This created a parallel universe of computing. While Intel remained the king of the high-power world of desktops, a new empire was being built in the pockets of billions of people. Intel tried to pivot later with the Atom chips, but they were a little too late and too clunky. They had missed the greatest hardware shift of the 21st century. While the mobile world was passing them by, Intel's core business, manufacturing, started to cannibalize itself. For years, Intel's secret sauce was that they were an IDM, an integrated device manufacturer. They designed the chips, and they owned the factories that built them. In 2014, Intel was supposed to transition to the 10nm process, but they got greedy. They tried to pack too many transistors too closely together using the older DUV lithography, instead of moving to the newer, more expensive EUV machines from ASML. The result was a catastrophic. The yields, the percentage of working chips per wafer, were abysmal. The 10nm was delayed for 1 year. Then they were delayed for 2 years, and then 5. The tick-tock cycle didn't just slow down, it broke. For half a decade, Intel was forced to refine their old 14nm process over and over again, while their competitors weren't standing still. Intel's manufacturing stumbles created a massive opening for their little brother, AMD. AMD had made a radical choice years earlier. They had sold off their factories and became fabless. They focused entirely on design and outsourced the actual building of the chips to a Taiwanese company called TSMC. While Intel was stuck in 14nm purgatory, TSMC mastered EUV and moved ahead to 7nm and 5nm. Suddenly, for the first time in history, an AMD processor wasn't just the budget option. It was objectively better, faster, and more efficient than what Intel could produce. The final insult came in 2020. Apple, Intel's longtime partner for the Mac, finally pulled the plug. They unveiled the M1 chip, which was built by TSMC, that embarrassed Intel's top-tier laptop chips in both battery life and performance. The Intel Inside era of the Mac was finally over. So where is Intel now? In the mid-2020s, the company is in a fight for its life. They have brought in new leadership, first with Pat Gelsinger and later on with Lip-Bu Tan, to try and restore the soul of an engineering company that had become a bureaucracy of MBAs. They are betting the entire company on IDM 2.0, opening up their world-class factories to build chips for other people, including their competitors. It's a humble Intel, one that is finally buying those EUV machines they should have bought 10 years ago. The decline of Intel is a cautionary tale about what happens when you prioritize short-term margins over long-term innovation. It's the story of a giant that forgot that in the world of technology, if you aren't moving forward at the speed of light, you are standing still. And in Silicon Valley, standing still is the same thing as falling behind.